welcome back to Premier League Primetime. And I am here with a very good friend of mine, man like Jake. How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man. First, I just want to say thank you for having me on the show, and I'm really excited.
God, it's always good to hear. I definitely sound more excited than Doug. Um, nah, make up yourself, Doug. Today we're looking at a team which I'm really not too fond of. We're looking at the Shadow Dwelling Club. Nah, no. Respect to Manchester City for they smashed the Premier League this year. We are looking at the current reigning champions, Manchester City. What a season they've had. Definitely has not been too great for myself, being a fan of this club over here. Um, um, Before we get into it, what's been your overall thoughts on the season? Because let's have it right. Up until about December time, City looked nothing like champions.
Yeah, towards the beginning, especially after that first loss to Leicester, I was definitely a little disappointed and just expecting more, considering what we've done the past couple years. But especially, yeah, like you said, during the winter time, especially again in the game against United, they really started to turn it around. And when they got like a 10 plus point advantage, that's when I started to get really confident.
Yeah, I still remember that little stint in January where United fans were saying we're gonna win the league because we're top of the league,
Yeah.
and I think I was one of the few fans who were saying, look, it's only January. Look, I said the same thing to Tottenham fans. I can't turn around now and start like this season has been or this past season's been nuts. Like the beginning of the year, like, oh, Everton's gonna win the league because they were top of the league for like 5 match days. Then it was what Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Then it was like Southampton, and then like Man United and like Leicester competing for it, and yeah, then City just took over. And yeah, I think after February, I think they're just more or less just odds on to win the Premier League this year. But let's get into it. This is probably the hardest of the stays and goes because I mean their depth players are legitimately world class backups. That's a difference that I've seen. That's something completely different I've seen from Manchester City as compared to anyone else. But let's get right into stay and go. Starting off with, of course, the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. You know, Scott Carson. Obviously, look. He's a world class third choice. Let's not get it wrong. World class from Derby County. I think he's 33, 34 years of age. I think it was the first time he played in the Premier League in that game against Newcastle for like the first time since like 2012.
Yeah.
What would you do with Scott Carson? Would you say, yeah, he's the GOAT, he needs to stay, or would you be like, nah, no sentiment, needs to go?
Well, first off, big ups to Scott. Gotta love him. I think honestly, like depending on how much money he wants, it's like he's such a legend, and I just don't see why we need to get rid of him. Just keep him around, great company, so he could stay.
There you go. Scott
Yeah,
Carson is. He's the GOAT. I'd be shocked if any City fan said, yeah, he needs to go.
yeah,
One player I wouldn't be shocked that they said if they were to go. Benjamin Mendy. With all due respect, the biggest contribution I've seen from Benjamin Mendy has been on his Twitter and on his Instagram. I love this guy on social media. He's freaking hilarious. Came in from Monaco with very highly rated for 50 million pounds. Very promising player when he came in, but it's been the injuries. And it's kind of slowed him down a bit. Would you say, yeah, let's keep our faith in him, or would you say, no, I've had enough, sell and cash in?
yeah. Mendy's really tough because I remember when he first came in, I was really excited and I saw a lot of potential, but the injuries have just killed him, and it's just really hard to keep in form when you keep getting hurt. And I mean, I'd say City definitely need to look for some more fullbacks, especially on the left side. So if they honestly at this point, if they can sell him for a good amount, he might have to go.
Yeah. And how ironic it is for any City fan to say we need to look at more fullbacks because I think Pep Guardiola spent more. money on fullbacks than many Premier League teams have spent in like the past 2 years. I swear on
Yeah.
my life. Uh, Getting into another left back, actually. Alexander Zinchenko. I think you know, and Curtis knows, and Doug knows, in terms of, just you who know me best. I'm not his biggest fan. I really am not. However, especially this season, he has sat me down a bit. He's had a good season. Definitely, and he's actually a midfielder. He's not even a left back. Uh, Although he's come in and he's done a job when he has to do it. Going forward, he's actually decent going forward, and has a good work rate defensively. Um, and I mean, every week it seems like it's so indifferent at left back. I mean, first it could be Walker, then it's João Cancelo, Benjamin Mendy, who's almost last in the pecking order at this point, but usually it's Alexander Zinchenko. Would you keep him around, or would you say, no, let's upgrade, let's get better and cash in?
So yeah, I actually really like Zinchenko, and I know like towards maybe a couple years ago he didn't look so great, but yeah, I really like the way he played this season, and I like what he can give the team offensively. I think he's a really good passer, and you know, if we could find someone else that might be better to start, that would be a shout. But I think he's a good guy to have in the team, so I'd keep him.
All right, yeah. And look, I'll say this right now. I mean, you got to give credit where it's due. I've been berating, and I still berate people like Andre on my show, to just give Luke Shaw some credit, man. And if I berate those people to just give Luke Shaw some credit, I have to give Zinchenko credit as well, because he's been very good this season by his standards. Uh, how unfortunate it is for Imeric Laporte, man. I have to say, the season's been unfortunate for him. Last season, or in 1920, he was, I never in a million years saw this guy getting his place taken. I thought, he's going to be City's first choice left back or center back for years and years and years. And then a certain random Portuguese man named Ruben Diaz comes in, and for whatever reason, his superpowers rub off on a man who looked to just be absolutely nowhere near the squad, John Stones, and those who just pushed him out. Imeric Laporte, still decently young, very, very good players, recently switching from France to Spain to play for Spain in the Euros. What would you do with Imeric Laporte? Would you maybe cash in to raise some funds for um, potential transfer targets, or would you keep him around as depth and backup?
Yeah, this is another hard one because, like you said, he was doing so great, and I thought for sure he's the guy for the next 5 years. But yeah, obviously, I think he had a couple injuries, and that signing Ruben, and then that helped Stones get into the lineup. So at this point, it's just really hard to even see him as a starter. But I mean, City's thing is that they have a lot of depth. So I think like I think it's almost hard calling him a bench player, but at this
Yeah,
point, he might be more of a rotational guy. So it's like if we can get a decent sum like with Mendy, I'd probably take it because of the depth we already have. But I think he would be a solid guy to still keep around.
yeah, 100%. And as I said in the beginning, this is the hardest thing about Manchester City, man. And that's one thing I actually got to credit them for. They have world class backups. I mean, you've seen the season with Sergio Aguero. This guy hardly figured even when he was fit. He was stuck on the bench. Ferran Torres, very good player, rotated on the bench. João Cancelo and Kyle Walker, usually you'd only see one of those two playing. Same with Laporte, and City's most important player, Scott Carson. I find that just incredible. And Manchester City, and I know people are going to start thinking I'm sucking them off, but you got to give credit where it's due, because they've just been phenomenal this year. Ever since December, January time, they've been very, very good. Next, Fernandinho. This guy feels like he's been at the club forever. I signed in 2013 from Shakhtar Donetsk. He's been everlasting in that Manchester City midfield. He's been ever present, and he's still there. His legs are still going. And apart from N'Golo Kante, he's for me the best central defensive midfielder, in the Premier League in terms of just experience wise. Nobody can top his experience levels. Rumors are that City are preparing a 1 year extension. Would you give them that extension, or would you say no sentiment and bye bye, see you later? Thanks for being an outstanding servant to the club.
Um, he's obviously getting up there in age, but yeah, I think he's brought a lot to the team. And when he wears the captain band, he really like knows how to control the team. So it's another situation where we have guys like Rodri and
Mhm.
even Gundogan that can play in that role. But I think really he's been solid enough. And even if he can't doesn't play as much as he maybe used to, I think he's still a really good guy and he can stay.
Yeah, 100%. And another thing, Fernandinho, I think the way he's mentoring some of the youngsters for me, I mean, specifically like Rodri, in terms of the 1920 season, I had plenty of criticism for Rodri. I really didn't understand. I really didn't get the hype around him. And last season, I was saying, look at the new Casemiro, Fred. I mean, Fred's been better than Rodri. And I said that for 1920 season. This season, yeah, I think I'd be looked like a fool if I said Fred is better than Rodri. Rodri's had a very good season this year. As most City players have had a good season this year. In contrast to Fred, who's look, him and McTominay are a world class, central midfield pairing, but I mean they're not near Rodri's levels. Um, but and also another thing with Fernandinho, you gotta love his versatility.
Oh yeah.
He's that entire season last year. He basically filled center back. He played center back for the whole season. And when they still had Garcia and Otamendi and Stones, I just love playing against Manchester City. I honestly love playing against City, because Pep would play a high line. And I thought, here comes an incoming Dan James masterclass, which was just Sonic the Hedgehog, zoom down the wing and basically just run at and use his pace. But Fernandinho has been very good there as well. He's just an outstanding servant for me. As a United fan, I have all the respect for someone like Fernandinho, and kind of like David Silva was in his last year. You have to have some level of respect for him. But yeah, if he sticks around, I wouldn't be surprised. One player who I would be sort of surprised if he sticks around, Gabriel Jesus, came in 2016, because Pep Guardiola saw him as the heir to Sergio Aguero. Um, saying it then, I could see it, but if you told me that now, I would be a bit bamboozled. Um, um, with all due respect, the most notable I've seen of Gabriel Jesus is whenever during the final and he's in tears and he's crying. That's the most notable I've seen of Gabriel Jesus. What are your thoughts on Gabriel Jesus? Would you say, yeah, keep him around? Do you like what you see, or do you think not? Sell, we can get better.
Honestly, it's a sad story because I remember when he was coming in, I was really excited. I loved the guy and I saw loads of potential. And then it's like he just never really the past few years he's just never really made that next step. And especially this past season, as our main striker that he's supposed to be, he just hasn't played well at all. And it's so sad because I almost don't even really rate him anymore. And I still like him. I think he plays well with Brazil, but if we can find a better option, he'll probably go.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I think Manchester City, from a neutral perspective, if they want to jump to the next level, I think Pep Guardiola now has to be ruthless in the sense that, if you haven't been playing well for many years, or not, maybe not many years, but just if you haven't been playing well for a while, cash in, because there are definitely players out there that can come into the squad and make them even better. than they already are. And City have been phenomenal. And for me, City can still get better. Next, and this figure for me, for the City fans that I know, has divided opinions. Raheem Sterling. Towards the beginning of the season, he looked like back to 2019 Raheem Sterling, and I said, "Oh, sheesh, he's gonna be on a roll," because that's the thing with Raheem. When he's on a roll, he's on a roll, and he's when he's in a good form, he's very consistent, and it's very difficult to see him drop that level. But this random English kid named Phil Foden has come in and he's taken his place in starting 11, rightfully so. And Raheem Sterling, he's kind of turned into what Laporte has. I mean, not in the sense that he's been injured, but just in the sense that you want to see the guy play, but you're just like, but where do I put him? I mean, we got Kevin De Bruyne, we have Riyad Mahrez, Phil Foden, um, even in that number 10 position. It's going to be hard to find a place for him. But what would you do with Raheem Sterling? Would you say, hey, if a sizable offer comes in, cash in, or would you say, nah, this guy is made for Manchester City. I've seen what he can do. Keep him all day long.
Well, first of all, I love Raheem. He's definitely one of my favorite players. And, obviously before towards the later half of this season, I thought he was really one of our stronger players. But yeah, I mean, with all the depth and like you said, guys like Foden really coming in strong, he's struggled to get into the lineup and it's hard to see. But I think I want to give him another chance because I think, if he can perform well with England right now, and just try to stay in form and pick it up towards the next season, he could stay and he can definitely turn it around.
Yeah. And look, even as a Manchester City player, I mean, for me, I'm English myself. I'm a big Raheem Sterling fan. I hope he does well for in Euros. Speaking on Euros, we haven't really said much about it on the show. What have you been thinking of the tournament so far, just from a neutral perspective, or if you're supporting a team in the Euros? How has your team done? What have you thought just of the tournament so far?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked because I'm just really excited in general to watch these guys play
Me too.
with their nations. And in terms of supporting a team, I mean, during the World Cup, I was really heavy on France. I'd still like to see them win, but I'm probably more of a neutral this year. But I'm for sure, rooting for all of the City players to play well with their nations. And I think I would definitely be happy if England were to win. That would be pretty cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just really excited to watch these guys play.
Yeah, 100%. Unfortunately, in my opinion, there's more chance of probably Netherlands winning the Euros than England, because of a certain manager who I just do not rate in any way, shape, or form. Don't even get me started on Gareth Southgate. Don't even get me started on him. But yeah, back from Raheem Sterling. Um, and look, yes, other than the goal, he hasn't been that great for England, to be honest with you. I mean, in my opinion, I think he should be dropped. I think Foden should be dropped as well. Um, Not biased at all, but they just haven't been performing that well for England. I think Jadon Sancho should be into that lineup, and Jack Grealish, but that's a conversation for a whole nother video. But Raheem Sterling, man, what this guy's done in the Premier League, it's been utterly phenomenal. Um, 50 million pounds from Liverpool now seems like a bargain. I mean, this guy's worth over 100 million pounds, in my opinion, and especially that he's English. You can add another 50 million pounds on that price as well, purely because he's English.
Yeah.
Last but not least, and including this one because of all the speculation, Bernardo Silva. He's definitely been in and out of the lineup this season, although he's been more of a mainstay this season in midfield, not so much on the wings as he's typically been played under Pep Guardiola. And there's been a whole lot of speculation that Manchester City are after Atletico midfielder Saul. and that they're just looking to get better. And Bernardo Silva is sort of unsure of what he wants to do. Would you cash in on Bernardo, or would you say no, keep this guy around? He's a quality player. I mean, I rate Bernardo Silva for me, but there's definitely better out there than Bernardo Silva. But it doesn't take away that he's a quality player. So what would you do with Bernardo Silva?
Yeah, he's really 50-50 with me because again, when he came in with Mendy, I was really excited about him, and he's definitely had a lot of really good moments through his time. But it's like with all the depth we have and young guys like Foden, Ferran Torres, it's hard to deny or to decline a lot of money for a guy like that. So like I love the guy, but in terms of getting a profit off of him, I think him leaving would honestly be okay.
All right, yeah, fair enough. I mean, and look, even when we were making the stay or go chart, I mean, there are players which I was on the verge of putting in, and players just like, should I put him in? Should I not? I mean, guys like Kyle Walker. I mean, his playing time has been, his playing time has drastically decreased this year. And this random Portuguese guy, João Cancelo, came in last year. And in terms of amount of playing time, I forgot that he was even there. I forgot he was even a part of City's squad. And then this year, he's just been one of the best right backs in the league this year. And Kyle Walker, I don't know where he's been. Do you rate Kyle Walker? Would you keep him around? That's another one I'll just throw in here.
Yeah, I actually do really rate him, and yeah, with Cancelo, it makes things a little weird, but I think it's weird because most teams you don't usually have these two guys on the same team. They're both starting caliber players, so like I like it for the depth, but yeah, it's just tough. But honestly, I probably would keep him around, just kind of like Sterling, just to give him another chance. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Fair enough. Anyways, we'll get into the second part of the show. And what and where should Pep prioritize in strengthening this summer? And would there be any specific names that you go after? I mean, there's been a whole host of not average, not pretty good, but world class players on City's transfer list. In terms of areas of the pitch, where would you strengthen if there is any areas you would strengthen?
Well, I think it's honestly these two positions I think are both just as needed. Maybe I would say striker. The striker position is definitely needed, but even left back. But yeah, 100% we need someone to finish because City scored plenty of goals and they have all kinds of goal scorers. But I think they could be even better if they had that guy that just scoring almost a goal a game. So a striker would definitely be nice. But yeah, I think a fullback and then specifically on the left side might help.
Yeah. In terms of players that, in terms of specific names, who would you be targeting in terms of striker? I'm probably already reading your mind in terms of a player who's a world class player. He definitely wants to leave because let's be real. With all due respect to a certain team in North London, he's not winning any trophies there anytime soon. You can clip it or whatnot. He's not going to win trophies there anytime soon. Would that man be on your list?
Yeah, obviously Harry Kane is who we're talking about, and actually, I do think I would really like him. He hasn't been great in the Euros so far, but the Premier League last year he played amazing, and he's like probably the exact player I'm talking about when I say a goal scorer. So, you know, it's I know Tottenham are a little weird with how much they want to sell him for, but I
It's
think
Daniel Levy, man. It's Daniel Levy. You're not going to get him for cheap.
yeah.
He's.
So
I mean, he's Ebenezer. He's the English Ebenezer Scrooge. I mean, that's Daniel Levy for you.
yeah, so I mean, they're probably going to charge it a lot, but I think it's worth it. So I would like to see him around.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, when you think about world class strikers, I mean, you can throw Mbappe if you want to count him as a striker. Him, Erling Haaland, Robert Lewandowski. I mean, in terms of the business as being a striker, there aren't much better out there than Harry Kane. There isn't.
Yeah.
Definitely will be a huge amount of money. I was hearing reports from Fabrizio Romano that that Manchester City have officially made contact with Tottenham over. I think they have made a 100 million pound bid, with guarantees that players will be thrown into the deal. And three names were thrown in: Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, and Aymeric Laporte. Would you be open to such a deal?
Um, well, you see, so with wait, I'm sorry, who were the names again?
Raheem Sterling, Aymeric Laporte, and Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, Gabriel Jesus, I think I'd be willing to do that. And then it's like, and even Laporte probably. And with Sterling, obviously I said that I'd like him to stay, but I think for a Harry Kane, considering the depth we already have, I actually do think that would be a good deal.
Yeah. And look, honestly, like over the years, I've seen some players seriously drop hints and flirt with other clubs. I mean, you can only look at Eden Hazard when he was at Chelsea, constantly talking about Zidane and how he was his idol, and how it'd be a dream to play under him. And he definitely wasn't flirting with a move to Real at all. I look at Harry Kane. I mean, it's as if Harry Kane, it's as if Harry Kane is wearing, a short skirt and red lip gloss, and is basically saying, Tottenham, come and get me. I mean, with all the comments on Kevin De Bruyne, I've never seen a player flirt that much with another club.
Yeah.
Come on. But look, if I were Harry, feel I'd feel the same if I were Harry Kane. I mean, the guy deserves to win a trophy. He deserves to win trophies.
Yeah.
And he's been nothing but professional during his time at Tottenham. He's given it his all. From a neutral perspective, I'd like to see Harry Kane go to another place where it's in the Premier League. I mean, hopefully not City, because that would really hurt my eyes to watch. Hopefully not Maguire and Lindelof try and defend an attack of Kane, De Bruyne, Sterling, and Mahrez. That would bleach my. I'd rather bleach my eyes than watch that goal fest. But that would be an unbelievable signing. Other than the striking position, you were talking about fullbacks. Any specific names at fullback that you're thinking of?
Um, there aren't a lot, but Robin Gosens from Germany.
Yeah, he's been very good.
I've actually like at the first game against France. I thought he played well, but I wasn't too sure. But against Portugal, oh my,
He's
I fell in love.
phenomenal. He's
So I would actually be really happy with that. And then hopefully Pep can help develop him, and he could be that guy we've been looking for so long.
100%. But here's my thing with the Gosens, right? And I said this, and look, I'm not saying Robin Gosens is as good or is at the same ability as what's his name? Matt Doherty. When Matt Doherty came into Tottenham, I said, and people can go back to the very first episode of Premier League Prime Time. Very good player at the time. Comes in from Wolves for 15 million pounds, but he's a very good wing back. Wing back. Germany are playing with a back five or back three. He's a very good wing back. Atalanta play with a back three, back five. He's an excellent wing back. Excellent. That's going to be, for me, if they choose to bring in that player, that's what I'm gonna be looking at. Will he be able to adjust to a back four? Because a back four is, and I saw an interview with Thomas Tuchel saying that a back four isn't that much different from a back five, and players aren't really that affected by positioning. I have to disagree. Look at Marcos Alonso at Chelsea when Conte was there, as compared to when Maurizio Sarri was there. Look at Matt Doherty at Wolves compared to when he went to Tottenham. Just the change in system. Very good player, but that's something I'd be watching out for. Another name that's actually been more prominent, I guess, in terms of being linked to City, Nuno Mendes, the Portuguese international. What do you think about him?
I actually have not seen a lot of him.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
Who does he play for?
He's a Portuguese international. He plays for Sporting Lisbon. Very very young. He's a 70 million release clause. And in terms of what I've seen from him, he seems like a very very good player to me. Um,
Yeah, I definitely need to look into more of that because I this year especially I've almost been strictly Premier League. I haven't seen a lot of other leagues, so I need to look more into that. But I mean, yeah, by the way you describe it, he sounds like a good guy, so that could
mhm.
be a shout. Anyone to just help that position.
Yeah. And yeah, and for me, I think Pep Guardiola could go out there and get a left back and look. For me, the only thing that I think City and the thing that City's missing the most is that Champions League. I mean, they've
Yeah.
won the Premier League, they've won the FA Cups, they've won. I mean, you may as well rename, the Carabao Cup the Manchester City Cup or the City Cup because I mean they win that every year. So I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. Um, but it's but I think they could go out there, get a left back, and with the likes of Zinchenko and Cancelo's been thrown there, and Benjamin Mendy, I think if they go and get a Gosens or a Nuno Mendes, I've heard reports of Luca Digne, but I don't think that will happen. I think Everton would demand
Yeah.
silly money for that. I mean, he's one of their best players. Um, I think that that he could help with getting him to the next level. Um, any other specific names that you think would be great for City?
Um I can't really think of too many because, like we said, they obviously already have a lot of depth. So I think there are certain positions that could definitely use an upgrade. But like in terms of the center backs and the midfielders, I think we got a lot of depth right now. So there's not anyone that I
Mhm.
really want them to go out and get.
Yeah. Well, before we move on to the last segment of the show, there actually were two names that have been prominently thrown out there in terms of players linked to Manchester City. One player who for me, even with Manchester City, he walks into any Premier League team, any Premier League team. Jack Grealish, linked heavily to their crosstown rivals last year, but knowing a certain board and a certain owners, they didn't want to back what Ollie wanted. He specifically wanted Jack Grealish, but he was after signing a new 5-year deal with Villa. You're not getting in for less than £100 million. He's an outstanding player, Jack Grealish. I think that'd be an understatement to say. Um, would you like to see, or would you think Jack Grealish would be a good fit at Manchester City?
Yeah, of course. I've also seen a lot of those rumors, and yeah, I think I would like him because he definitely brings a nice element to a team, and he can really create a lot of chances. So even with the depth we have, I think if we were to sell certain guys like Sterling, Bernardo Silva, he would definitely come in and be a big help. So as much as he wasn't on my list, I would actually be happy with him there.
Yeah, 100%. And last thing that I'll mention, and this guy for me, he's arguably been for me the best player at the Euro so far in terms of games that I've seen. Manuel Locatelli, the
Yeah.
Italian international. That this guy has been scintillating this tournament. He's been um, a mainstay, and he's been at the heart of that Italian midfield. He's been phenomenal. Box to box midfielder. Definitely similar in terms of he's not the exact same player type, and positionally he's like a Paul Pogba-ish kind of player. He's definitely a transitional midfielder. He loves getting in the attack. Clearly, um, he's a range of shooting. He has a very good range of passing. Defensively, he's very good. Would you like, or would you want to see Locatelli at Manchester City? In mind that you've already got the likes of Gundogan and Bernardo Silva, even Phil Foden. He wouldn't displace Kevin De Bruyne, but and even someone like a Rodri, Fernandinho.
Yeah, so I've seen those rumors too, and yeah, I actually really like what he's been doing in the Euros, and I think he's definitely a guy that can probably play anywhere in the midfield. And even if right now he wouldn't find a place in the starting lineup, that's just another player that would add a lot of depth to the team and can definitely earn his way up. So yeah, I would actually be happy to see him as well.
Yeah, 100%. Locatelli's been outstanding for Italy. Into the last segment of our show, and we have probably one of the most difficult questions to ask. Who would your top three disappointments of the season be? We'll start with negatives in terms of players not performing or expectations or injuries. Who would your top three disappointments be?
Yeah, so just to get it out the way, Aguero is obviously a legend, and you
Yeah,
just know you're not going to find anyone better. But with him getting hurt so often and just not being fit enough to play, that that is just a disappointment. Not necessarily his performance because it's hard when you're injured, but that's the fact that he's getting injured and just can't get into the lineup is really tough. And I think, especially in the Champions League final, if he was on form during the season and was able to come into that game, I think he could have made a big difference. So it's just disappointing that, obviously he's getting older, but he's just getting injured a lot.
yeah,
And then Gabriel Jesus is another one that, not because of injury, just what you expect from your striker, he just didn't do enough. And it's
yeah,
like you could say he scored a decent amount of goals, but that's what he's supposed to do. He just didn't do as much as he should have, I think. And then a third disappointment. It's kind of, I mean, there's a lot of like Laporte. Like I could put him in there, but it's like it's honestly not even that he played bad.
no,
They were just better guys.
just
So
injuries and whatnot.
yeah, and that too. And then I mean, I don't want to put Sterling over someone that might have been more disappointing, but towards the end of the season, just him not being able to play really, and then even when he did play, just struggling to create goals. He could probably be the last guy.
Yeah, fair enough. And now, top three players of the season. Now, I could probably already read your mind for two of them. I'm pretty sure. But I could be wrong. Who would your top three players of this season would be? And I mean, we already know Scott Carson's number one. We already know that. I mean, he's been the best player of the season. We all know that. So, who would your top three players of the season be?
Okay, so technical difficulties, but it's all good. We move. Top three players of the season. So I'm not sure exactly what cut out. I'm just gonna restart. So for the number one spot, I actually said Gundogan because I just thought that what he did, in the midfield position, especially to be the top goal scorer, I think, and just like take command of the team was just amazing. And it's a breakout I've honestly been waiting for him. So it's like that guys like De Bruyne got hurt, but he stepped up in a big way, so he's probably gonna be my number one. Number two, I'm gonna have to say Ruben Diaz, just because he comes in and Laporte. I mean, he got hurt a couple times, but he looked like the guy. All of a sudden, Ruben Diaz is the number one guy. He held down the back line phenomenal, amazingly, and yeah, he just had a really good season and was definitely one of the reasons why we were able to push through and win the league. And then for the last spot, it's really hard, I think, because a lot of guys in the attack, I think Mares probably had a really good year, but it's honestly hard because not a lot of these guys don't really play as much as they probably would with another team. But for the third guy, I think we're gonna go with I like Foden. I want to pick Foden because there's a lot of options, but I think as a young guy, he almost did similar to Gundogan. He didn't play as much. He didn't score as much, obviously, but I think he just really came into his own, and he definitely started what I hope is going to be an amazing career with City. So yeah, for the top three, I'm gonna say Ilkay Gundogan, Ruben Diaz, and Phil Foden. And yeah, so if this is the end of the show, unfortunate that the Zoom cut out. But Davis, I just want to say massive thank you for having me on. It's been a lot of fun, and yeah, I hope we can do it again, maybe with more guys, maybe any other format, talk about and the national competitions, anything really. But yeah, just again, massive thank you for having me on, and one last thing for the United fans, I hate to do it to you, but Manchester is blue.
Yeah, 100%. And look, and as I said in the beginning, like it's definitely not an easy task to pick any top three. And again, thanks for seeing the technical difficulties. Unbelievable. But yeah, you make a really good point there, Jake. And the Gundogan's had an unbelievable season. He's been outstanding. Honestly, he's been unbelievable. Ruben Diaz, of course, again, he's also been unbelievable. And Phil Foden, he's also been terrific as well. I think Kevin De Bruyne is also a good shout, but it's your opinions. And last, before I wrap it up, sure, you may have been better than us in the past 8 years, but you will never be a bigger club than us. So no, 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 no. Manchester will always be red. Anyways, and thank you for watching this. If you enjoyed and loved what man like Jake has had to say about Manchester City, smash a like on this video. And comment below. What have you thought of Manchester City this season? Do you think they've been better in the past, or do you think this is peak Manchester City for you? And wherever you're watching this in the world, have a great day / evening.